This is Jim with Jim's Garage Toys. Today I'm going to be replacing my front brake pads and rotors with EBC slotted rotors and Redstuff pads on my 2009 Corolla S. I still got plenty of pad left on it at 104,000 miles, but I wanted something with more stopping power after doing the turbocharger install a couple of years ago. So I'm going to be doing that. I'll go ahead and get the car jacked up, get it on some jack stands, and get the tires off, and we'll start from there. So we'll get going. Okay, I'll try to do a little tutorial here for some people if they want to do their brakes on their Corolla. This is a 2009 Corolla, but 9th, 10th, 11th gen should all be pretty similar. So on the front disc brakes though, the first thing once you remove the tire is you want to go ahead and loosen the two bolts. There's one right here, and there's 14mm bolts, and there's another one down at the bottom here, and that holds the caliper on. You want to take the caliper off then, and then you can actually just replace your pads from there. But if you're going to actually change the rotors too, then there's two bolts. I don't know how well this is going to see it here, so trying to get this in, but here's one right here, and there's another one down below. Those are 17mm bolts, and they actually hold on the bracket right here, the caliper bracket. This is what the caliper mounts to. So, and you have to take that off if you want to change the rotor. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll come back and show what it looks like at every step. All right, so I've taken off the two bolts, this one here and the one down below, and here they are. They're just short 14mm bolts. So then once you take those loose, then the caliper should just pop off, and I usually just put a box or something there so to support it. You don't want to hang it from the brake hose, even though I'm going to be changing my brake hoses after I change the brakes here, so with stainless steel braided lines. So I've got one right here, so this is what will be going on in place of the OEM one. So but for now I just place that over there. At some point we'll have to push the piston back. This one just slides, so it's pretty easy. You can do it with a C-clamp, with a piston kit, caliper brake kit, which are under 20 bucks on Amazon, so pretty cheap. So now the next thing, since I'm going to be replacing the rotors right here with new rotors, here's my new rotor over here. So I'm going to be taking the rotor off. Well, to get the rotor off, you got to take the pads out and then the caliper bracket. So the pads are easy, and they just pull out and kind of shimmy them. There we go. There's one. The outer and then the inner. Just kind of push, and it pops right out too, just like that. Easy peasy. So I have new pads, be putting those on, and so now you can see how the caliper, and here's where that bottom bolt holds on the caliper itself. So the caliper bracket, this also comes in handy if you want to paint your calipers by taking off this bolt right here, 17mm. There's another one just at the bottom of it, and those two bolts hold this on. Take it off, you can clean it up. A lot easier to paint it, especially if you want to spray paint it. So, and if you're in the process of doing what I'm doing and putting new brake lines on, it's not a bad time either, because it's easy. The caliper will be separated. So, but I'm not worried about that. So time to take these two bolts off and take the calipers off, and so that's what I'm going to do. The two bolts loose, 17mm, are a little snugger. generally not hard to break loose. Go. So, got one caliper bracket. Quite dirty. I will clean it up at least. So, and here's our two 17mm bolts, a little bigger. So now the rotor can come off. So now two things with the rotor. So sometimes it'll be loose and it'll just pop off. This one is not, just trying to move it. But there are two small threaded holes right here, which you can take the appropriately threaded bolt and put them in there. And then what it does is it allows you tighten these up, and it pushes on the metal piece inside, the hub inside, and you'll usually know because all of a sudden it'll be you'll hear it kind of break loose and crack loose. So there we go. So this is one of my favorite new tools too. This is a Harbor Freight special, but it's a 1/2-inch ratcheting breaker bar that will go longer or shorter. Hard to do this while showing you, but it goes a little like this. And if you need more leverage, like it says there, it extends out to 18 inches. Totally worth it. I don't remember how much it was, but it wasn't too terribly expensive. So we got these on there. Can't remember. One size too big there. Find the appropriate size socket. Okay. Back. So I got my 12mm socket. Just snug these down. And then as you turn these, I'm doing this with one hand. There it goes, it just popped. So sometimes it'll make a loud crack if it's kind of a little bit of rust holding it on, but usually it comes out pretty easy. There we go. One old rotor. There we go. So got one old rotor with our brand new one ready to go on. So, and here's where you can see these are the 2 points right here and right here where the 17mm bolts hold on the caliper bracket, and then the caliper mounts into the caliper bracket. So total of 4 bolts and comes off. I mean, disc brakes are generally very simple. So little overview. So you got your brake cable coming up, your brake hose. There's a bolt here, and I took that bolt out and loosened it because I'm going to change it. So here's this, and then the work light in there. So there's the one end of it. So you have to loosen that. You slide out that little clip right here. You slide out that clip, and then use a flare nut wrench, 10mm flare nut, and that comes off. And then you can see on the back of the caliper right here is the bolt. So 2 bolts, one nut one bolt. The brakes, the brake lines come with new hardware, so also new bleeder bolt. They get gunked up over time, so it's not a bad idea to change them anyway. And then there's my new brake lines for the front and rear. Use my quick jack. It's up on that. Love this thing. One of the best gifts my wife ever got me. And then I got my new pads there. So I looked at the hardware and the whatnot on the new pads, but I actually like the OEM design a little bit more, so I'm going to clean those up and reinstall those on the new pads before I put them back on. So I will do that and we will start to reassemble. Inner pad, I just put it together since I'd showed you the other one. This is the same process. So a little grease on each thing. I push the tabs in a little bit just to get a little more secure. And on the inner one, you can see where the piston pushes against it. So there's the round piston ring right there. So now, as far as the pads go, we need to do the opposite process. So we have our brake caliper, so we put our rotor on, and then we put our caliper bracket on with the two 17mm bolts, and then we put that caliper back on. We have to press it in, so let's see if we can get this on with one hand here. Now these are directional, that's why there's a left, the other one are on it for right. Just as they spin, the vanes help get rid of any hot gas and dust. So that goes on there. I'll probably pull that off. So then our bracket goes over that. So like so. So this will sit on there like this, and the two bolts go right there and right there to hold that on. So the only thing I have to do before that, let's see if I can do this with just the one hand, is I need to go ahead and take the pins out. Slide the boot off. They're in good shape, so, and then they just come out. So I clean these up and I re-grease them. So there's that one. And then this one. Slide that off. The pins have a little shoulder on them that holds the rubber boot on. So there we go. That off there. And out comes this pin. So clean the pins up and we'll re-grease them. I did find it interesting that when I did my other side, when I did the other side and I pulled the pins out, that the pins were actually different. They were different length, and one had this one right here has a rubber band on it, so it's kind of interesting, I thought. See that? So here you can see how So you can see how they're different lengths. This one here on the left is longer, and the right one has the black rubber piece going around it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But what I'll do is clean out some of the grease from in here, and then I will finish wiping these off better, and then we'll re-grease them and slide those back in before we bolt on the caliper bracket back onto the hub. So I'll get in the process of doing that. Pins are lubed up now, so, and I started in, but if you just kind of push on them and push them all the way in, you can see how the rubber piece just kind of snaps around that groove right there. So slowly push into it. Let the grease spread through there nicely. There it goes. So, and these are the holes right here inside the pins that the caliper bolts to. So 17 millimeter that bolt to the hub, and the caliper bolts to here. So easy peasy. So all right, so we got that done. Next we'll mount the bracket back onto the hub, and then we'll push in the caliper piston so we can put the pads in, and the piston, the caliper will fit back over the thicker pads. So that's why you have to push it back in, because the new pads are thicker. So okay, so we got the rotor on, the caliper bracket is back on, and once again that's just these two 17 millimeter bolts here and here. They push through the hub, and they actually thread. It's the caliper bracket that has the threads on it. So get those on there nice and tight, and we're back to that point, ready for the pads to go in, and we need to push the caliper piston back in. Now the caliper piston, when you push it in, will push fluid back into your master cylinder. So you need to make sure that you're not too full. So I've got plenty of room in there, so for the fluid to go back in there. So now you can do this a couple of different ways. You can do it with a large C-clamp type device, or you can do it with a disc brake tool. So the disc brake tool here pushes the piston in for you. This little piece right here goes right in like that, and they come in different sizes for different calipers, different pistons, and this is designed to be used on a front or rear caliper. A lot of rear calipers actually twist and turn, and that's where this comes in handy too, because it's got fittings where these little pieces lock in and will actually twist it in for you as you turn, and pressure pushes it back. So this will sit like this, so it applies pressure there and pushes it in. So I'm going to go ahead and push this back in. Pretty impossible to do trying to hold the camera, so I'll be right back. I've got it set up real quick, so just slip it down in there and tighten it up until it gets on it. So you can see the piston right here and so much it's come out. So we're going to push it in flush. So, and there's a little T-handle here, so, and you just start to turn it, and it will go in. Do it while I'm holding this. Let's see if we can do it this way. There we go. as I twist this, it's pushing the piston back in. And then we can slip this over the new thicker pads. Tough to do, or near impossible to do. So there we go. So I just turned till all the way pushed back in. Back it off. Back it out. There we go. Job done. So now, as you can see, there gets a better light on there. Now the piston is completely pushed back in. Okay, so now for the pads. All right, so ready for the pads to go in. So the pad is back together with the shims on it like we did, greased up for contact points, and then there's a little tab on that side and there's a little tab on this side that they just, let's see if I can, you guys can see this. So it's pretty obvious. You just work it in. A little trickier trying to do it while holding the camera. It just slips down into one end. Brake pads are popped back in. Needed both my hands to do that, so, but they just slip into the little groove in it right here and right there. And you'll see there's actually a clip. You actually see the clip right here. Little metal clip, and they just slide right inside of that. So I put a little grease on each one of those points. And now the brakes, new pads are in, new disc is in. Now it's just a matter, since we got the piston pushed back in, to slide that back up and over the pads. So this literally comes in, rotate it. There should be plenty of play here. Let's see if I can get the box out of the way. And that will slide right down and away in position. I just gotta pull this. Pull my boxes out of the way here. There we go. And then, there we go. So, now, it's just a matter of putting on the two bolts. So you can see how it slides right over them. Everything looks good. So, put the two 12mm bolts back in, and brakes are done. I will also be doing the hose right here, so put on some new hoses and we'll be set. So I will go ahead and install the two 12mm bolts holding on the caliper. We'll be ready to continue. Alrighty. Just finished tightening up the bolts. 14mm bolts there hold on the caliper to the caliper bracket. think I might have said 12 before, but they're 14 on the Corolla. And then the 17 millimeter bolts right there that hold on the caliper bracket to the hub. So 4 bolts total, and it's all cinched back up. So ready to roll. So now we'll go ahead and proceed to the brake hoses.